Today we're going to talk about how TV has letters about love, or what we consider romantic. So the first thing that we wrongly consider to be romantic, or that TV has told us that is romantic, that actually if you look at it isn't that romantic at all, would be that feeling that you need someone, desperately need someone, or that you can't live without someone is romantic. For example, in Twilight, when Edward tells Bella that she's like his own personal type of heroine that he's really addicted to. And in The Notebook, Noah's attempt to persuade his love interest on a date by threatening suicide is depicted as romantic, because it's depicted as if, oh, he's so in love with her, he loves her so much that he's willing to give his life up for her just to be on a date with her. But actually, threatening suicide is a very manipulative thing to do, that some people with borderline personality disorder do. And there's a huge problem with thinking that you can't live without someone. In fact, feeling like you can't live without someone, having an extremely high fear of abandonment, is basically what borderline personality disorder is. And a fear of abandonment can lead to lots of other toxic behaviour as well. For example, being extremely possessive, being extremely controlling. What's also a very dangerous message is that TV somehow, in some movies, stalking is depicted as romantic, and stalking isn't romantic. It's a crime for a reason. It's a very terrible thing to do, but despite all that, there's some movies out there that depict forms of stalking as romantic. For example, back to Noah in The Notebook, there's this really romantic scene, in which he tells her, "Why didn't you answer to any of my letters I wrote you for 365 days in a row for a whole year? Why didn't you reply?" And then in the story, it's depicted as romantic because it's supposed to show how intense his love is for her and how he didn't give up. And in The Notebook, it actually isn't the case that she didn't want to write back, but her mum hid these letters from her, so because she didn't want her daughter to be in a relationship with someone who's very poor. So that's why I can still see why it's depicted as romantic in the movie. However, Noah didn't know this. Noah thought that she wasn't replying because she didn't want to, that she wasn't writing back because she didn't want to. And in that case, it's a very unromantic thing to do, to consistently, although the other person has shown you that they're not interested, consistently write a letter every single day for a whole year, because this also is a form of stalking. And in Twilight, it's depicted as being really romantic that Edward basically stalks Bella every single night by being in her bedroom just to watch her breathe, because he loves her so much that she's fascinated by watching her being alive and just being there. Obviously, this is, in real life, this would be very problematic and criminal. So in movies, stalking is very often, or forms of stalking, is portrayed as romantic, but obviously in real life it's a very horrible thing to do, and not the sign of dedication that it's portrayed to be in movies, or a sign of devotion. What it actually is a sign that you don't care about what the other person wants, you don't respect their free will, and you don't care about their well-being at all, because if they don't want to be in a relationship with you and you still try to persuade them and be really pushy, trying to get them in a relationship with you even though they don't want it, that just shows that you don't care at all about what it is that they want and what they would be happy with, or what would make them happy. It shows that the only thing you care about if you stalk someone is that you care about what it is that you yourself want, about what would make you happy, and you don't care at all about the other's well-being, even though you think you love them so much. Now, of course, they probably think that they're meant to be and that they just don't know that they would be happy in a relationship with them, and that being in a relationship with them, they love them so much that they would make them so happy. The other person just doesn't know it. However, just the fact that you're not respecting their boundaries when they're not in a relationship with you goes to show how little you would respect what they want, what their boundaries are if you were in a relationship with them. So this is a false belief if you stalk someone and think that you're doing it because you know how happy you would make them.